Ryan, Ryan, were we gonna mute?
Yes, we'll do that here in just a second. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So just for format tonight, like to welcome BJ Germano and Joe Territo, Red Wing photographers from the past in BJ Germano's case and present in Joe Territo's case, who are going to be sharing some of their favorite images from their times as Red Wing photographers, along with some of their stories from the time. For the presentation, we're going to ask if everyone can mute their microphone, just so we don't get any feedback. If you do have questions as the presentation goes along, we're going to ask that you use the chat box on the bottom of the screen. Joe and BJ will keep track of that as best they can while they're presenting, and answer what's appropriate or what they can during the presentation, and then circle back at the end to try to pick up the rest. Once the presentation's done, we can open up microphones and do some more general chatting again, and that won't be an issue. But just for while they're presenting, to prevent feedback and whatnot, muting your microphones is appreciated. The bulk of the presentation, I believe, is going to be slideshow. If you have any issues, if you find you can't see it well in gallery view in the upper right, if you switch to speaker view, then you should be able to see the screen that Joe's sharing pretty easily. And BJ and Joe should both filter up to the top of the people speaking as they get started. So without further ado, I will turn it over to BJ Germano and Joe Territo to kick off our program.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hey, let me get the show going here. I'm gonna go full screen, and I hope everyone can see it in full screen now. That's okay. Barbara Jean, you're up. Go through your slide deck first.
Okay, and welcome everybody, and thanks for coming. And I just wanted a brief info that my love of baseball began with my dad. He just loved his Yankees. And my love of silver really struck in 1966 when my brother pitched a no-hitter for the Section 5 finals. And that memory comes back all the time. The photos presented here today were all shot the old-fashioned way, negative film. And all of them were pretty much, most of them were taken at Silver Stadium. And shooting baseball was always a labor of love. And some of these images, like I had said, are 25 years old, and we're just hoping that it brings back a memory or makes your heart smile. And if it does, then Joe and I accomplished the mission we set out with this show. So sit back and enjoy the memories.
Okay, here we go.
No matter where you were in the stadium, I just love it from this angle. You see all the rafters and the beautiful field, the billboards. You can see Kathy O'Neill sitting down there, and the glass goes over there. And
I just think this is the nicest portrait of Silver Stadium that I've ever seen. My absolute favorite. I just love the steel girders, and it just brings back that old feel of those old stadiums, and particularly Silver Stadium. Just love it. So sorry, BJ, I just needed to make that comment.
Hey, Joe, anytime. You just speak up. I took this going up in a hot air balloon just before the stadium was knocked down, and made it back in time for the 7th inning stretch. This shot I love because in the lower right-hand corner, you can see the grounds crew, their building, and you can see the batting cages, and right there is the bullpen. It was all right there in the open. And it's just another one of those great angles just walking around the stadium. Looks like a nice Sunday afternoon. And the concourse was always bustling when you got out by the stadium store, and people were going all over. The Beach Boys came to town one day, and that was, you know, almost 13,000 people were there for that show. I know Metallica came, and this was a shot from the roof of the Beach Boys. And of course, our beautiful stadium. And this was the dugout just before they started playing. See, some of the players are down there, hung around to listen to the concert.
They're in your spot, BJ.
That's the grounds crew right there.
Oh, the grounds crew.
But
Yeah,
my spot was never my spot. That was always full of, you know, players sitting there, you know, the pitchers that weren't pitching, etc. But you know what it is. We're moving around, right side, left side, you know, first base, third base. Mike Roman greeting the fans coming in on a cool opening day. And I'm thinking that was, this was, again, people just bustling around the concourse. Things sure have changed in 25 years in new stadium, but. And when it was full and the crowd, the sun setting, the lighting on the field, it was just a wonderful place to be, you know, game after game, time after time. The bat racks. I love the bat racks. And, you know, this shot here, I like too. One of my favorite things, this is Calvin Maduro's first start, but the Marlboro Man, you just don't see him anymore, which is good, but brings back good memories. It's the team's national anthem. This is John O'Donohue. Odie was getting ready to start that evening and kind of got a good shot out him out in the bullpen area. This is one of my favorites because if you look up towards the middle of the upper part of the screen, you'll see the speaker hanging down. And yeah, exactly right there. And you can also see that this stadium was right in the middle of a neighborhood. I mean, the house is, I mean, right in the middle of a neighborhood. And people probably miss that income they had with everybody parking in their driveways. I must have been, I'm trying to think, in the couch potato seats for this shot. But another great angle shooting in with the bullpens being right there exposed, and the lights weren't the greatest for nighttime shooting, but it was always a beautiful place. These, when I look at this netting, which of course was barely there, but I think, do you guys remember those big dice that would come rolling down? And that almost picked me off a couple times, going from like first to third or third to first. And so the heads up and boom, here come these big, huge dice. But
you could always tell when they were getting ready because you could see them up in the press box trying to force them out the press box windows.
Yeah, I'm glad a lot of other people were watching because they saved me a couple times. And there's another great shot of the bullpen. And you'll see a shot of it coming up where I was way up at the top of the stairs where those two kids are to shoot out in the parking lot. It's an interesting angle, but just every night was fun. This was a rain delay over at Silver, and fields covered up. Rain delays are always fun. I don't know if you guys remember, sometimes there are pranksters when we're all shut down for a rain delay, and these guys brought taped Mike Berry up, taped them all up in the locker room, and then brought him out on the field and left him there. At least they gave him an umbrella, but he was sitting there behind home plate, just boys will be boys, I guess is what I can say about that. And it's a typical rain delay. And of course, our umpires are just sitting there waiting for the rain to stop too. Now, these three guys all made it to the big leagues. They're traveling through AAA just like the ball players, one step away from the majors. And these three guys did make it to the majors.
I love pictures of their families, their family members on that one trunk there. I just noticed that. That's so nice.
That trunk's a Priestmeyer, and I don't even think the guys carry him anymore. But back in the day, every umpire had his own Priestmeyer, and that was his home away from home because these guys don't have a home during the season. You know, they're on the road all the time, and they're treated well all the time in Rochester by everyone, especially Blaze DiNardo. Another shot outfield. I think that's Dave Tolkheim, who made it to the big leagues, and another beautiful day, and like to go back. Now this is that shot I took from way up overhead. This is the neighborhood and the front office, and that's just our environment. We were just kind of shoehorned in there, and it was terrific. These people were waiting to get into Jim Kelly's Stargaze. One day he brought in all of his the quarterbacks and football players of the day, and they played baseball. And a lot of people came and watched. A sunny afternoon on a Sunday. I'd give anything to go back for a day. And I hope when you guys have opening day that it's like this. This was, I think, 94. The temperatures were in the 80s, and it was just, you know, perfect opening day. Now here's another year where it was a little bit colder, but the team was there. They're always a good group of guys. And this was yet one more year when it was very, very, very cold. But that's Rochester, New York, and you bundle up for it. Now, I only am presenting the memorable faces from Silver Stadium because we got to keep it to a half hour. But anyway, here's some people you might remember along the way. And quite a few of the people who went through, like Derek Jeter, are now in the Hall of Fame. So they passed through our Silver Stadium. And we all know Noma. Chipper Jones, as a child, came through Silver on his way to the Hall of Fame. And one of our fan favorites of all times, Jeff Mano in a Red Wings uniform, and he went on to pitch and coach 9 years in Major League Baseball. Good dude. Andy Pettit spent some time in coming through in the 90s with a really good Columbus team. But of course, you know, the Yankees are there. So Jorge Posada was also kind enough to pose here and there coming through. And this is Manny Ramirez pre-Dreadlock. So he was a child. I think this was around 93. But yeah, he was pre-Dreadlock. So, and Mariano Rivera. And this was when he still had his teeth that he came to America with, but God love him. He's a good man. And we had Lima time. We had a little bit of Lima time in Silver Stadium. You notice the background in all these pictures, home sweet home. And a lot of these photos were published along the way. Cliff Floyd's prime time on the MLB network these days. We did have Neon Dion Primetime Sanders coming into our establishment too, on his way to Jim Thome. This was spring of 93 after the patch on his arm is in memory of Steve Olin and Tim Cruz, who were killed in spring training that year, but another Hall of Famer passing through Rochester on his way. Doug Jennings was one of our guys, and the old dugout is, you know, no advertising, just had to retouch a lot of the stuff off of it. But anyway, he went on to play for the Cubs, and Damon Buford. I think this might have even been Beach Boys Day. It was kind of loose on Sunday afternoons. I used to love to come out real early pregame. Here's a couple of our workhorses, Oscar Munoz and Rocky Coppinger. Everybody enjoyed their time together. Baseball's a family, as I said earlier. And Odie's, Mel Waring's laughing because Odie told me later on that he saw him holding a bat and he had some comment to make, which I can only imagine, but it was a lot of fun in those days. And Jim Kelly seemed to be coming around often enough, and he's standing there with one of our players and then became a coach, just a good guy all around, Butch Davis. And I think he's still coaching in the Orioles organization. And we have a Rochester, Joe Altabelli was always, like I said, I love going out early before batting practice, and people were out there and had time. And it's always good experience. And this guy here had a 9-month-old son at home when this photo was taken, and his name is Cody Bellinger. Who knew? Rick Kribda was great lefty. I got something to say about him later on, but that was a good place to perch too. We used to always just try to take pictures of the guys wherever they were hanging out. And then we got Brad Tyler.
Oh, wait, BJ.
Yes.
Ryan, notice anybody in the background there?
Yeah, Ryan's mommy.
And his father, I think. I think that's your father too, Ryan. Your mother.
Where? I didn't see him. Good.
Yeah.
Well, they were there, as was Ryan. And here we got Hollywood handsome photo of Brad Tyler, who was with us for, I think, three seasons. But that was just, people look at that and just go, did he end up in Hollywood? But it was always great with the turn back the clock day and in the helmet cage. And Marv was always a fan favorite. He'd come out, tip his hat and cheers. And I threw this one in from Frontier, but I thought it was a cool angle and just a manager managing the game. And like I said, Marv was always a fan favorite. And Jeffrey went on to the big leagues. That was, I think he played probably close to 10 years. Jimmy Haynes was one of our great pitchers, and he had come into town then. And after he left, that was the year he and Mandy came in. They had just got married and 25 years ago, and he went on to pitch 10 years in Major League Baseball. So we had a lot of stars coming through, stars in the making. And Smitty bundled up. I'm thinking this was another opening day, and he was ready for it. You couldn't put enough clothes on. And Camara Barti, who is now with the Phillies, he was fast. That was his baseball card, I think, in '95, that shot. Jamie Meyer passed through our Rochester Red Wings and went on to be a really good guy. Donated a lot of money to a lot of good causes. Was a good pitcher. And we got, batting practice again. The camaraderie is always there. And you guys probably think Tony Tarasco is better known with Jeffrey Meyer than Jarvis Brown, but batting practice was a good time. And Jimmy Dietrich's out there pitching. But the reason I put this in here is that house, because that house on Norton Street has got to be the most photographed house in all of Norton Street. Because if you're in the third base dugout shooting at the pitcher, that was always the background. Probably still there. Now, Soup, of course, is nicknamed Soup with the name Campbell. This is like one of the best seats in the house. And of course, you got to be watching all the time. But on days off, there was always guys both visiting and home, just chilling on the steps and like all of us, loving life. Paul Carey, PC was holding roses because it was the all-girl professional baseball team came in. It was like 54 years after the actual league, and there were probably about 20 women there, and all the Red Wings went out and gave each of them roses. There aren't that many of them left anymore, but it was a cool night. PC was a good guy. He was around with us for 2-3 years. And Vito, we watched kids grow up at Silver. We just watched them grow and glow. And Vito's glowing. He was always a hard worker. Chris Gresham is in front of the torpedo heater warming himself and his bat up. That was another opening day. And behind the scenes, which these photos, a lot of them are taking you places that you wouldn't normally see. Bob Matthews had, you know, a great career as a sportscaster and had his own talk show for 35 years on Wham. Just everybody in sports in Rochester knows him, including Meyer Foley, who came in that day to talk to him. And the Clyborn twins. Just a great shot. I mean, I had to swing over, but people I remember working with, you can keep going, Joe.
Okay. All right.
Just a cool shot of the twins at work. I
Yeah.
stuck into Frontier for that one. And up in the press box, the old press box, Chuck Hinkle up there working with his radios, and good guy that another one is glowing in the city of Rochester. We remember Elliot Kerr when he was a good president and did a lot for Rochester Community Baseball and just the city of Rochester. So a memorable person. Tom Decker was our broadcaster when Jack Buck was called up to the St. Louis Cardinals. I think Tom Decker filled in for, it was in the 60s. He was also a local TV and weatherman. And once in a while, like Blaze was even surprised. Not usually, but sometimes we could surprise him. And that was Happy Birthday, Blaze, back in the day. And here's two classics out in the concourse. Dan Mason and Bob Feller, who came in to sign, and Boog Powell come in town to hang out with Bob Hope. And I was lucky to be able to catch a shot of the two of them. And there's Ryan talking about children growing and glowing. And his mom's there, and I think he's holding his niece. And he's now a doctor. And we have Desiree, who talk about growing and glowing. Children are such a big part of baseball, our own children, other people's children. And through the years, we just watch them grow, and it's a wonderful part. Again, growing and glowing. He's my partner in crime. Now, Will Rumbo, you'll all remember, this was, he dressed up for a Turn Back the Clock Day. And the photo cracked me up, and I thought I'd throw it in there hoping he'd watch this at some point. This was our mascot, Wild Fang. We've come a long way, but Ken Burns came and visited us in our hometown stadium. We got Jeff, the video guy, was there always early, and the great writers and friends from the local Gannett paper, Patty Singer. Another pregame gathering of Mike Shope and Jim Mandalero and Glenn Geffner, and Glenn's now the voice of the Miami Marlins. And as I mentioned, the umpires come through working their way to the major leagues. And these three guys, Pat Connor, Jerry Meals, and Kerwin Danley, have situated themselves in the big leagues and have been there for years. But back in the day, they were the ones calling the strikes and balls on our field. And out in the concourse, there was always a great show with Fred. And I snuck back for the 2000 AAA All-Star game. I'm pretty sure that was the event when Yogi came in and talk about watching people grow and glow. I think Cam Mason's in college now, and just had to throw it in because it might make someone's heart smile. Of course, Frank Robinson was a great Oriole and manager and Hall of Famer. Come home to visit. We had our own waste man who wonderfully signed the national anthem to anyone who's hearing impaired, and he was always welcomed, and it was always special because nowhere else had I ever seen this done, and it was made us even more special. Batting practice, you see the guys just hanging out. Manny Alexander and Soup and Smitty and Eddie Acapino, and they were sitting on the tarp roll waiting for I met the Foleys in spring training that year that Marv was going to start, and watched their kids grow and glow, and now they're, grandparents. And Josh Lewin also has gone on into a major league broadcasting career. He was our Red Wings broadcaster for back in my day. Tommy Davis, another one of everybody's favorites. And Guido was a great trainer, one of our many trainers. He was a really great one that took us to the Governor's Cup. Got the guys through it. Somebody laughed about chapel, but there was chapel on Sunday mornings down in the family room. And I just thought it was kind of cool. I wanted to present it to you. It was a good team that prays together, stays together, and wins. And again, just another cool dugout shot, everybody hanging out. Paul Carey and now Telly, we love Telly, Anthony Telford. He played with the Red Wings, and first time he came back into town as a Richmond Braves and Atlanta Brave, his mustache, he was so known for his mustache. So all the front office guys grew or put mustaches on, and it was just funny. But he was beloved, and they all showed him he was. And everybody has an Earl Weaver story. He's beloved and remembered, and he's waving to us all. Now the Orioles came in just before the stadium closed. I think you all know who that is. And the gang wanted to have things signed, and this team, when they left town, the crowd here was unbelievable. I mean, again, we're up close to 13,000. And when this team left, look at the fisheye lens was always fun. The crowd, there was an amazing, like just about 13,000 people at that exhibition game. Davey Johnson, of course, he has a good history being in silver, being protected by our own Blaze. And the Altabelli boys were in the dugout. Here's one smart dude. He's still getting paid almost $2 million a year for the next 15 years. But they had a home run derby, and he swung a deal afterwards, and Moose came back to visit his old stomping grounds. And there was a home run derby in Raphael, and it was Glenn Geffner standing in the background ready to go to work. Now, Sidney Ponson was the starting pitcher that night. But that night when the team left, they took Rick Krivda with them. That was the night he got called up. So that was pretty cool, heading out with the team. Sidney followed shortly thereafter and did not come back. Well, like I said, Father Time kind of visited all of us, but I got the pictures of another MLB Network announcer here, Billy Ripken. And Brady with the sideburns was back visiting his stomping grounds. Final game at Silver was unbelievable, crowd-wise and image-wise and people-wise. And you look down in the front, you can see all the familiar faces of many of the local media people. And again, Rochester's Mr. Baseball did some of the intros, and first family of baseball being escorted by Will. And this was when it was unveiled that we would retire these numbers, that 8,222 for Mr. Maury Silver would go over to Frontier Field. One special lady, love her dearly, always will. throwing out the first pitch. And of course, her beautiful daughter, who Grow and Glow is such an addition to the Rochester community, and can't say enough great things about her. Dan's glowing. It turned out it was really a lot of planning, and as every game is, but it's rare to see him just standing and smiling. Like I said, Father Time stolen. Don Alhart was one of another local media guy, and the pregame ceremonies probably went on for, a good half an hour, and all these kids just couldn't get enough autographs, and another group of growing and glowing children bustling in the concourse. And Randy Mobley was always there for all of our special events. And it was always, we were graced with his presence. It was always fun when Randy came to town. And we got the Chauvinistics, Dan Guilfoyle and the guys. I think they sang at opening day every single year that I was there. The regulars. The crowd was filled in for that last game. And Tony Infantino was another radio, I don't know if he still is, but radio star, and there's our Marlboro Man. This picture I put in there to recognize George Behan, who was also in sports in Rochester. Everyone knew him. Anyone that liked sports in Rochester, like Bob Matthews, George Behan, they're our guys. And here's a great shot, but the reason I put it in is Pat Santillo on the far left was the lady in the front office for so many years. And it was a special event to bring her out on the field and recognize her. I believe she retired at the end of that season. This is just a great angle, sitting behind Tony Barron from the Ottawa Lynx. The thing I remember about him is he never wore batting gloves. And then we dug up the, Gino and the guys were digging up the home plate to move it over to Frontier Field in the limo, because that's the way it had to travel to its new home. These kids are probably all parents themselves. And now I'm just going to take you behind the scenes a little bit for the Governor's Cup Championship. And it started out, Dave Cash out there, shooting batting practice, pitching as always, hardworking and a lot of fun. He was a good dude. The starting lineup that day, the guys that were out there, and starting pitcher. And I like that. I like the sweet spot in the background. Come kind of forward a little bit. And after the party, this was the beginning of the party. I mean, it was off the hook. When they won, it was just one of the most amazing evenings, and it went on, and we all know PJ Forbes made the play of the game. And just kind of to remind you all, I was, this would have been shot 37 on my 36 exposure roll of film. I was changing film when PJ made that catch. So I just wanted to get it in there to let y'all know I messed up, and I wish I would have gotten that shot. But back in the day, when you're shooting negative film, you got to change them rolls.
I think, BJ, you told me that this was the best you could do on that play.
Absolutely. Got to go without, it's got to go mention though. Another great play of the game. There were a lot of turning points, and to have it on the way that it did. And Frankie was always in there getting those clutch hits and getting dirty. And this, I think, of the look on Marv's face when it dawned on him that he had won a championship in the three great leagues, the Pacific Coast League, the American Association, and the International League. And while I have a minute, the International League ran of all my work of all my life, all my career people, and Randy's one of the top 5 executives I ever worked with. Just a great guy. And there's the trophy in the beginning of the night and the guys standing around it, but there was so much going on. And I wanted to kind of take a good look at that trophy because Joe pointed something out to me later on that I never noticed, but there's the trophy in the beginning. And this was the scene. I mean, it was pandemonium. Something you work hard all season for and you win. And there's Scott Petoniak right there on the scene. Jim Mandalero and PJ just like basking. It was a great play. I'll always see it in my mind's eye. Oh, Joe, one guy's gone already.
Yeah. What BJ is talking about is that at the beginning of the ceremony, we had there were 2 little players on the base of the Governor's Cup. We can see that one is gone already. It's interesting it would be an interesting story as to how those guys disappeared.
Where they ended up.
Yeah.
Marv came out of his office at some point and was greedy. You can see how many different cans are up there. Everybody got them. He stayed dry for too long. And then in came Dan Mason. You know, he's not going to get out of there without being drenched to the skin. We all were, but it was fun. And there's Danny Clyborn, who's a great slugger, great guy. And our pitching coach, Fred Dallimore. He was another one of everybody's favorites. And I was just soaked in that picture, but champagne's fun to be soaked in. Speaking of soaked, and another growing and glowing person in the community is our own Paul. He's gone on to do great things and save lives. The players are gone now, and again,
Yeah, the two little guys are completely wiped off of the base.
And again, we got, you know, guys just soaked to the skin, but you can see them hanging up in the back, all the plastic that's covering and getting ready for the celebration. Cigars and champagne. It was off the hook. There's Chuck being a little not in his tux anymore, and Dan and Ogden Whitehead partying on in the locker room. There's just really a great memory. This is all what happened down the scenes. Brian Schaus is up on the chair offering a prayer of Thanksgiving with the teammates. And that's when Joe realized, hey, those guys are gone. Scott Bullitt. Yeah. So
must have been a wild time.
Trophy got manhandled.
Yeah.
We're back on the field, got a couple more shots like this before everybody jumped up and ran and partied on. I'm going to end with one of my top favorite shots in my whole career, and this was in that season in '97, and it's Rich Butler on deck, and it's God gave me this shot, and I've always been thankful and hanging big in my house. Great memories, great time. And now Joe.
That was amazing, Barbara Jean. That was so awesome. I grew up watching baseball at Silver Stadium, so your pictures are so meaningful to me personally, and I know I probably speak for with us tonight watching this presentation. Photographs are used as primary sources for research many times by us baseball history buffs. So the importance of photographs can't be understated. they really are historical documents. In addition to having a hell of a lot of fun creating these photographs, I feel like we're making historical contributions as well. And there's something really satisfying about that for me. Maybe we don't often think about how important these photos can be to fans and to the players and their families, but I definitely realize the importance because many of these folks are among my followers on social media. Later, I'll share a real nice message that I received recently from the mother of one of our players. The role of the Red Wings team photographer has changed so much between the time that Barbara Jean was shooting and the time that that me and Bear Antelos, the other Red Wings photographer, took over. Technology has changed along with the team's photography needs over the years. Presentation is formatted a little bit differently. I'm gonna kind of walk you through sort of a day in the life of a team photographer in terms of my responsibility and what a typical game coverage would be like for us. So this is what it's all about for me. This action photography. This is what I love to do. Peak action when that ball is just about ready to go into the glove, and you have this expression. This is what keeps me coming back game after game when I capture an image like this. But my first assignment for the Red Wings is actually it is in February usually when we all get together and we do the staff photo, the yearly staff photo, and again that's usually in February. And
They're all the same people.
What's that, Barbara Jean?
A lot of them are the same people that were there when I was there.
Yeah, they sure are. So I usually will head to spring training. That's the next thing that I do during the season. My favorite time of the season. Being with the Twins, I was in Fort Myers quite a lot. The Nationals now their spring training, I believe, is in West Beach, I believe, which is clear across the other side of the state. But this is a beautiful state-of-the-art facility. It's not very old. It's only a couple years old. I mean, the main stadium, Hammond Stadium, has been there for a number of years, but the training facility is brand spanking new. Baseball and palm trees, nothing better than that.
Can't beat it.
That's right. So this is Brian Dozier. And they at Hammond Stadium, they have batting cages underneath the stands, and the fans can actually walk right up to the screen there that you see in the background, and they can watch their favorite Twins players take some batting practice right there. They're very accessible. I love going to spring training because it offers an opportunity to meet up with old friends. Virgil Vasquez, he's just a great guy, a former Red Wings pitcher who I always enjoy reconnecting with when I go down to spring training. And of course, the mayor, Tommy, he always, whenever I go down there, he always asks me, how are my friends back in Rochester? He has never forgotten Rochester, and he was certainly a big part of Rochester when he was here, of the Red Wings. This is Mitch Garver. Just kind of a cool picture with the
palm trees and baseball.
Yeah, palm trees and baseball. Yeah, so getting ready to pack up and go back home. I think that's Mike, our one of our bullpen coaches.
Great shot.
Whoops, thank you. So the next kind of responsibility that Bear and I have as the team photographers is media day. And this takes place the day after they fly in. And we, one of the things we do is we set up a studio. Bear and I will go into the visitors clubhouse and set up a studio in there. And this is what it looks like. You can see our camera tripod right there at that position, right outside the bathroom. And our umbrella strobes here with this table. Now this table has a shiny reflector on it, or shiny sheet of silver. It's actually a reflector because it's important. The players will step right up to this table, and it's important to get that light to reflect up underneath the bill of their caps so that we can see their eyes, their faces are nicely lit. Because if we didn't, I think that if we didn't have this reflector, we'd see a lot of shadows. The eyes would be filled in with shadows for the headshots. Now, here's the typical process of the headshots that we do. And Nate Rowan will supply Bear and I with the name plates, and that's how we can identify the players who we have just taken pictures of. Most of the players, we know who they are for the most part, but there's going to be players that are new to the team, and we are a little bit unfamiliar with them. So we just want to make sure that the names get attached to the proper players and stuff like that. We usually will offer the players the option of, we'll say, well, give me your game shot. Now, these are going to appear on the video board. So it's, the players want to look a certain way sometimes. And Jake Cave is certainly one that told us, I don't want any smiling pictures when my face appears up on the video board when I come up to bat. So please, don't have me smile for the pictures. But most of the guys do like to smile, and some of them occasionally will want to take a look at the preview on the back of the screen after the pictures were taken. And I don't think Bear and I have ever had a player look at the preview and say, oh, can you redo it or whatever. They're all usually very satisfied with their picture. We also do a series of portraits of the players where we have them posing different, doing different things like rubbing the ball down, like we see Aaron Slager here. We have a 3-ring binder on the table, and we'll open it up and say, and the 3-ring binder will contain previous portraits that we've done, and we're able to communicate to the players what we want them to do. And it's nice because, a lot of the players are Latino, and communication can sometimes be an issue when you're trying to explain what you want the player to do. So to have that photo right in front of them there, and we just point to it and say, try to recreate this. Vargas, he does not need any instruction when it comes time to posing. He just takes over. Kenny Vargas loves the camera, great guy. And, these guys, like I mentioned before, they really do appreciate the pictures. And I recently sent Kenny a whole bunch of files that I had of him. And he was so appreciative that he actually voice messaged me to thank me for it. And it was so great to hear his voice again. He says, Poppy, thank you so much for the pictures. It was just great to hear him. He calls everyone Poppy.
Your lighting's great, Joe.
Thanks, Barbara Jean. Yeah, that reflector really does light the face.
It does.
It does the trick for sure. And this is what the Red Wings will use the portraits for, some promotional things and stuff like that. Once in a while, occasionally we'll get a chance to work one-on-one with a player on a special portrait. This is Alex Meyer, and Alex was really proud of this Ford pickup truck. It was brand new to him when we took this portrait, and it was really meaningful to him because his grandfather, Don, owned the Ford dealership in Greensburg, Indiana, where Alex is from. And so he had just gotten this from his grandfather's Ford dealership. This was kind of a different portrait that we don't often do, a sort of a stage action portrait. This kind of brings me back to maybe some of the earlier pictures we used to see of baseball players where they would stage the action because, film back then was really slow speed, and it was hard to stop action. So they would recreate action pictures sometimes. Portrait like this. This is Caleb Hamilton. He was one of our And Bear and I will very often do this, especially on a Sunday afternoon after the game. The players' families will a lot of times join them out on the field because it's run with spikes and the kids, and so we really like to do portraits of the families when we spot them out there. Bear and I do this quite often. It's something that the players really, really appreciate. And this is a big family portrait, obviously, that we do every year. A lot of moving parts go into this picture. It's something that I'm a bundle of nerves when we get ready to do this picture. I'm usually at the ballpark 2 hours beforehand to set up the chairs. Obviously the staff helps us a lot. We do our test shots, make sure that all the flashes are going off, when they should, and just to make sure that the lighting is absolutely perfect. Lots of preparation. And once we get them all into position, we just tell them, keep on smiling. And we're just going to fire off, 10 frames. And the actual shoot is done in less than 5 minutes. The players are up. Yeah.
The last row, do you have the guys standing up on something there, or are they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks for asking, BJ. Yes, that's right. We line them up according to height. We usually have the shorter guys seated. Then the guys in the second row are just standing right in back of them. And we tell them, make sure that you're lined up in the center of the guys that are in front of you. We like that sort of diagonal direction that the photos with the heads in the position of diagonal, it really adds to the composition. And then, as BJ just asked, the guys in the back are actually standing on the aluminum benches out of the bullpen. We have them stand on that.
Perfect. It's perfect shot.
Thanks, BJ. Thank you. It's such a relief when it's over, but it's so satisfying too for me, especially because I remember going to Silver Stadium and when they'd hand out the team picture, when I was a 10-year-old boy or a young kid, and I would spend the game just studying the picture and trying to memorize the players in the picture and their names and stuff like that. And for me now to think back to those days, and now I'm the one taking the picture, that to me is really special.
Big time.
On to game coverage. This is a typical game. I'm going to walk you through the way I cover a game, the way that Bear covers a game. Sometimes our coverage will actually start before we go into the stadium. I'll pull into the parking lot and see something kind of interesting going on out on the front lawn like this. And I've just got to photograph something like this, but I love this picture. You see all these guys all kind of in a scrum going for that ball up there, but that smart kid in the blue, boy, he has better ideas. So then after I set up my computer up in the press box, I'll go down to the concourse and see what's going on down there. Autograph signings, of course. We love when these legends come in and spend time at Frontier Field. So that's one of the first things that I'll do after I come out of the press box. Then I'll head down to the field, and there are things going on down there that the fans might not see. When they come into the ballpark, that R is already back there. So it's kind of nice to maybe be able to show the fans how this is done. And,
behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes, exactly. And they do some great work. And believe me, these guys are really, really proud of their work and what they do to prepare the field. So I would encourage anybody, the next time you go to a game and you see our groundskeepers, this is Ryan Hare, give them some props. Tell them that the field looks great, because they really do take pride in what they do. They work hard at it. Let them know it. Then I'll wander back into the dugout. Probably not a lot going on, so I might get my creative eye going and do something a little bit different. Usually the first player out of the clubhouse is the catcher, because he's got to come out and and put his gear on. So, you know, I'll take some pictures. Mitch Garver he's a great guy. You know, I was kind of kneeling down taking this picture. I wanted to really get those shin guards as the main part of the image. And I'm just kind of snapping away. He's not saying anything. And I went to get up and he said, "Are you good, Joe? Do you have what you need?" So I have a feeling that he was at this point just kind of fiddling around with his mask just to get me some good pictures. Nice guy. So players start coming out and we all start to get ready. Of course, autographs. That's Byron Buxton. Mark Hamburger, always very gracious with his time for the fans. So then the next thing, by the time I get done kind of getting my cameras ready and stuff, the baseball buddies will have assembled out there, and that's the next thing that I need to get a nice picture of, get a team picture of these guys. And also we will make the interactions that are going on down on the field before the game. And then our favorite general manager comes out and starts to make his announcements as to the promotions, what food specials they have and stuff like that. So we always love to see Dan out there because we know the game's about ready to start.
Uncle Phil.
Yeah, the presentations that go on. Bear and I have to and all of this stuff. Had some really great first pitches. Local NHL superstar.
I know him.
Yeah. So Bailey Morrison, boy, I'll never forget taking this picture because she is unbelievable. She was 9 years old at the time when I took this picture. But when she belted out the national anthem, the hair stood up on the back of my neck and I had goosebumps and, you know, a lump in my throat. It was just an amazing performance. You know, she, I believe she is, she also performs the national anthem at Amherst games and I think in Buffalo too, if I'm not mistaken. But she was unbelievable.
Wow.
And here's my plate shot, as Barbara Jean will call it.
Dish shot.
Our dish shot. Thank you. So yeah, and as Barbara Jean mentioned, these guys, they appreciate this, you know, because they sometimes might feel like they're unloved in a way. And so when we take their picture, they, you know, after I take their pictures, and I'm sure they did the same with Barbara Jean, they always thank me for taking the picture and for thinking of them and stuff like that. So it's always nice to do this. So then the next thing that happens out there is the honorary coach of the game. This is a great tradition.
I love this girl.
They join them. They exchange the card with the manager, and it's really quite an experience for the kid. So then I'll wander back over to the first base side, and by the time I get over there, mostly all the players will have been out in the dugout, and they're starting to get amped up for the game, and they're having fun and yelling and just kind of carrying on, trying to get each other loose. It's kind of a spectacle down there before the game. So it's always nice to capture these images, to be able to show the fans exactly what's going on. They might not be able to see this. They're up in the stands and they just don't have the same view that Bear and I have. And as I mentioned, Kenny Vargas, he really lights up whenever we point the camera.
Love it.
Now this is a really nice tradition that Stu started. Bear and I, you know, we didn't ask him to pose with the child. This is the play ball kid. One game a few years ago, he just decided to do it. He came up and he saw me standing there getting ready to take this picture, and he jumped there and posed with him, and he's ever since. It's part of his pregame tradition now. And there's play ball kid.
That's great.
Players just start charging out of the dugout, led by the starting pitcher.
Great shot.
Thank you.
Even better.
There they go to get out on their out on the field, get to their position, and then we're ready for game action, which is my favorite. Record these action photos. Peak action.
Great catches, great captures, Joe.
Thanks, BJ. Appreciate that. So this is Tommy Field. And I asked Bear one time, I said, you know, who are your favorite players to photograph? And I think we both would agree that Tommy Field is definitely one. He's him and Doug Bernier. They're so sound. You know, very sound players and really intense players. And every time I point my camera at some of these guys, I always get a good picture. And I told Tommy Field and Doug Bernier just that.
That's a great shot right there, straight out.
Thank you. Yeah, this was
flat out.
To see this picture on the billboard. It was this was on 490 one summer, and then it appeared the next summer on Mount Reed Boulevard.
And when you drive by, do you go, "That's my photo"? I would.
So Tommy Field told me that his father, they're from Texas. His father saw this picture in a publication down in Texas, a newspaper or something. And Tommy was really proud of this picture. He loved it. And him and I kind of became buddies because of this picture.
You bet.
And there's Doug Bernier again, one of my favorite guys to photograph. He the intensity that this guy brings to the field. Now, Doug, I've become friends with Doug because I've worked with him and his wife with Doug's website, photographers for his website, and I think Bear is too, by the way. But anyway, we've become friends with him, and you know, I've had plenty of discussions with Doug and talked to him. But boy, I'll tell you what, once he steps out on the field, you leave him alone because he gets locked in. Look at the intensity in his face. And he practices this way too. I've seen him take batting practice, ground balls for batting practice, and he's got that same intensity on his face, even while he's practicing. Good lesson for kids to practice the way you play.
Sure.
And I'm going to give Doug a plug for his website and his project, Pro Baseball Insider, where he offers free advice to players, to baseball players. He's a great guy. During the off season, I don't know if he's still doing it, but when he was with the Wings, during the off season, he would encourage kids to send in video of them batting and stuff like that, and he would analyze it for these kids and get back to them and give them free advice on what he would suggest they do to improve their hitting.
Wow, free.
Eric Ferris. Now, I don't know if we used to see a lot of this, guys going into the second baseman to break up double plays. You know, I mean, obviously by where this guy's sliding, he totally did not go for the bag. You know, with the concussions and stuff like that, I fear that hard-nosed playing like this might be a thing of the past. Buxton, you know, we were so excited to see him in a Red Wings uniform, and that's why I really love this picture, because he was, you know, the #1 prospect all of baseball. I think it was in 2015, and we were eagerly awaiting him. So when he finally came, to see his name on the back of a Red Wings jersey was really special. That's why I like this picture so much. So, most of the pictures that I have been showing and that I love to take are defensive plays. But we also have to, take pictures of the players in their batting stance. This is kind of a must. They're not the most exciting pictures to take, but they're important pictures. They're a record of all the players who have come through, make sure we get a nice batting picture. And we take a low position in the photo well so that we can get their eyes up underneath the bill of their cap. We want to see their face. But some of these guys have kind of interesting batting stances that are sort of exciting to photograph, and Arcia was certainly one. Now this picture, it frightens me just to look at this picture right now, because when I'm looking through the viewfinder and I see a hitter looking straight at me, I know I'm in trouble because he's following the path of the ball. This ball was coming at me so fast. The ball that he had just hit, Britton, the players are screaming, heads up, and I just bailed. The ball missed me by inches, but it took out the visiting team's video camera, which was right next to me on a tripod. That was scary. And, I always look for an exit plan whenever I'm photographing a game.
For sure.
So this picture, I posted it a couple weeks ago, and like I said, these pictures are pretty important to family members and to players. So I got this message from Alex Meyer's mother when I posted this a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. She said, "Oh, Joe, this," and I quote, "Oh, Joe, this brought tears to my eyes. You've always been a big supporter of Alex. Thank you so, so much for this memory. We love our time spent in Rochester." And there is peak action, Mike Quaddy. This picture was MILB photo of the week when I took this.
Awesome.
So other scenes around the ballpark. We do need to turn our lenses away from the action on the field quite often and just kind of cover what's going on. And this is kind of fun. Hopefully this is all of these pictures are hopefully bringing you back to Frontier Field. It's been so long since we've seen scenes like this. And so I hope that everybody is enjoying a trip back.
Can't wait. Terrific.
This is Edwin. He's I don't know that he's a season ticket holder, but he's at so many games. And him and Danny Ortiz came from the same small town in Puerto Rico. So so every time Danny came back to Rochester when he was on opposing teams, Danny was with us for a while. Edwin always will bring this sign and kind of cheer him on and stuff like that. And it's so cool to see the camaraderie between fans and players. And Danny will always come up to Edwin and give him a big hug when he's in town. Danny will always, when he's in the visiting dugout, and I walk by, and I know Bear has said the same thing, Danny will always yell out, hey, and try to get our attention to wave to us, and we'll go over and, shake his hand and stuff like that. So these guys really love Rochester, and they even love coming back as visiting players. This picture just reminds me of a baby bird being fed. Oh God, what a
Family.
Great, family up on the berm. I just love seeing kids enjoy baseball.
It's all about the kiddos.
Yeah, and so even this kid, this big kid here, for those who can't spot it right away, that's Dan Mason on the field during one of the promotions. And then we have Family Feud. This is really, really very popular. We have the great Grant Anderson out there leading this great tradition, Fan Feud. And this is really interesting picture. You know, Mick Foley, WWF Hall of Famer, he's a real friend of the Red Wings. He's been, you know, he's made appearances and signs autographs and stuff like that, official appearances. But I think, and I'd have to double check with Grant on this one, but I think he was just in town on this game, and he just came to watch a Red Wings game, I believe. It certainly wasn't an official appearance, but Mick apparently is just a Red Wings fan. So there he was. He came in, somebody spotted him, and Grant had him out there doing Fan Feud.
It's so fun.
I like this picture, and I think Ryan likes this picture too. I believe Ryan's kids are in this. I think that's one of his, and I'm not sure if it's this one or one of them, but two of his daughters are in this picture. Cute picture.
Growing and glowing.
And this guy, for those who might not know, for the few who might not know, because I think that most everybody knows that this is Jimmy the Disco Raker. The fans love Jimmy the Disco Raker.
That's funny.
So I'll run through some more creative pictures, and some of these pictures have been kind of inspired by work that I've seen of other photographers, and somehow they just kind of find their way in my mind, and so I like to try to get some of these pictures out of my mind and onto the digital card. So here is James Beresford.
Very cool.
So, sometimes when we point the camera toward the sun, we get what's called lens flare. But it can also, you know, usually we don't like lens flare, but it can also be used creatively. That's why I kind of like this image.
That's cool.
I just like the composition of this image and the symmetry. That's Drew Brutera. Aaron Slager. He was just coming out of the bullpen and working his way into the dugout to start the game. And these guys, when they come out of the bullpen to start, they are really locked in. And you can just see how focused he is. He's about ready to pitch a game. So I just kind of knelt down real quick and stole this picture. And when he saw this picture, he loved it. Loved this picture. And this is a picture that was inspired by Bear, to be honest. Bear does a lot of this kind of stuff. So I thought I would try a couple of what Bear is kind of known for. And so, sorry, Bear, if you're out there, sorry that I stole this picture, but it's just too good of a capture to leave out of this presentation.
I agree.
And I'll use this selective color very sparingly. It's got to be the right image. Now, this picture was another MILB photo of the week.
Great angle.
Thank you. Oh, unfortunately, we're not going to see baseballs like this anymore with the International League stamp on it. Randy's signature.
I'm glad I got a few.
Yeah. Faces in the crowd.
Yay. Can't be candidates.
So this one, her name is Samantha. She goes by Sammy. She is one of my Instagram followers, very dedicated follower. I follow her on Instagram too, but she is a huge Red Wings fan. And so she follows me on Instagram. I spotted her. I recognized her. I spotted her up there wearing a Red Wings hat. And in general, we love seeing people wear the Red Wings gear, and we'll often point our camera toward people wearing Red Wings stuff. But I did this intentionally because I knew I was going to post the picture after the game, knowing that she was going to see it. So it was kind of a surprise. And when she saw it, she went crazy. She loved it. She shared it to all of her friends and stuff like that. Yeah. So anytime you're wearing Red Wings gear, beware of me and Bear pointing our cameras toward you. This is my grandson, Lucas. And there's nothing like being down on the field, working the game and turning around and seeing my grandkids up in the stands. It warms my heart.
For sure.
You don't always have to be wearing Red Wings gear, though, to be a victim of my longtime season ticket holder.
Friend to many.
And Johnny Antonelli, boy, what a nice man he was. I'm so fortunate to have had the opportunity through my friend Scott Petoniak, who was really good friends with Johnny Antonelli. Nothing like seeing him up there enjoying a Red Wings game, and I felt so fortunate that I got to know him a little bit, had dinner with him a couple of times, and he was just a special person and quite a legend in Rochester. There's a face in the crowd that we love to see. Some special moments that I've had the privilege of photographing. And Gary, there's the picture you were showing me at the beginning of the presentation.
Andy Pettit, isn't it? Yeah, well, there it is.
Yeah, Andy Pettit. Yeah, that was a big deal. So Osmio Pinto hits this walk-off home run on opening day in 2015. It was the very first home run of 10 walk-off home runs that season, which is a franchise record. 10 walk-off home runs in 2015, and this was the very first one on opening day. Then 2015 closed on a very special note too, where Mark Hamburger got to sing the national anthem, and what an amazing job he did. And after he went back into the dugout, he's a starting pitcher, so he was just kind of hanging around in the dugout after he sung this. I went into the photo well, which is part of the dugout, and he wasn't pitching. He was just kind of sitting there. I called him over and I said, Mark, what was that like? And he said, man, I was so scared. Ordinarily Mark is a very relaxed guy. He loves to have fun. He's goofing around all the time. He's one of these guys that really relaxes his teammates. but he took this very, very seriously, and you can see the reverence in his eyes for what he was doing. He was so proud to do that. I gotta go back to this because here's my buddy Bear right here. So he got a picture of him from behind, and I got a picture of him from a front angle.
Teamwork.
Yeah. So this was incredible to me as a baseball fan. Photographing this celebration of TJ Zook's no-hitter against the Wings. Now, obviously, the Red Wings lost this game, but the sophisticated, smart baseball fans of Rochester were giving this guy a standing ovation while I was taking this picture. They appreciated what TJ Zook did, even though he beat the Red Wings doing it. It just goes to show what great fans we have here in Rochester. So I was just corresponding with Adam Brett Walker about this picture. He told me that this was his favorite picture of him playing baseball, this moment.
I bet. It's a great capture.
Thank you. I love just kind of studying the expression on each one of his teammates' faces. So this was a special moment, but unfortunately, we never got to see Bartolo Colon pitch in a Red Wings uniform at Frontier Field. He had just joined the Twins and is kind of coming through the minors, working his way up to the Twins. And this was in Lehigh Valley, I think. We made a trip just to get these pictures of him in a Red Wings uniform. Of course, Tebow just retired. So this was this was quite a play, and a little bit of a backstory on it. So Miguel Sano, he's down on rehab, playing third base. The ball gets hit straight up in the air down the third baseline. Sano comes charging in, but he had no idea where the ball was. He lost it in the sun. James Beresford was playing first base. Beresford was usually a middle infielder, but he was playing first base this game. He comes charging across the diamond, knowing that Sano probably had no idea where the ball was. The ball, of course, hits him square on the top of the head, starts tumbling toward the ground, and James Beresford saves the play by scooping the ball inches before it hit the ground. This play was shown on ESPN the night that it happened, and it was kind of a goofy play, but a great play, a kind of a funny play. So the Twins somehow saw this picture and wanted a copy of it, from what I'm told. They wanted the file. And so apparently they made all these enlargements of this picture and hung them all around the Twins clubhouse for when Miguel Sano returned from rehab. So he was greeted by this picture when he got back to Minnesota.
It's great.
So this was the brainchild of Tim Doohan, one of our great front office staff members, plates night. Nick Tahoe truck parked out on the left field side. Really cool new logo. This was special. Field of Dreams, and boy, the place was packed for this, where we had legends come in, Pedro and so many others. Pedro celebrating a strikeout on the Frontier Field mound that day. Of course, our own Joe Altobelli wearing his 1971 uniform. Ozzie Smith, so many autographs that day. And I remember while I was taking this picture, you know, Ozzie was famous for taking the field and doing a backflip as he reached shortstop. And he would do that every game in St. Louis. And one of the fans yelled out to him, said, you know, and he's, of course, he's much older now. And one of the fans asked him, are you going to be doing your backflip when you take the field? And Ozzie said, well, not intentionally. There's all the legends.
Wow.
I have a story to tell about Reggie on this one, but we're running out of time, so I'm not going to tell it. But Reggie was being Reggie during that picture. And so then it transformed again later that year into the Frozen Frontier. I started my career in 1984 working for the Amerks as a photographer, so it was kind of cool to be able to photograph hockey.
What an awesome night.
Yeah, sure was. So speaking of Frontier Field, here's a few of my portraits of Frontier Field.
Where were you, Joe?
So this was taken from the Kodak Tower. Yep.
19th floor?
Yes.
Yeah.
19th, the famous 19th floor, right, BJ?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The 19th floor where the veranda is up there right outside of George Eastman's private office. And by the way, while we were up there, Nick Chirata got us up there. And while we were up there making these pictures, the woman who led us up there came and asked us, you know, would you guys be interested in seeing Mr. Eastman's original office? It's just right around the corner here, right outside this door here. So of course I was like, yeah, you know, being a photographer, and you know, it was so cool. There's still some of his original furniture in there. The office has really not changed all that much. I was surprised as to how small his personal office was. There were still some of the original patents for the Brownie camera and stuff like that framed and hanging on the wall. It was quite a thrill for me being a photographer to be able to see that.
Joe, before you go away from there, if you can go back, just point out that brown building, because I think, is that going to show up in another?
Yes.
That brown building. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. So the Buckingham building, when you saw that picture of Frozen Frontier, it was taken from this direction, and I was right up here on this platform, right up on the top of that building. You know, the Frontier Field has been photographed from this building before, so that view isn't, you know, all that, you know, we see that view from time to time of Frontier Field from up there, but I had never seen this particular view before, so I was thrilled to be able to make this photograph.
For sure.
So this is kind of a unique process. It's called tilt shift photography, where you can make it look kind of like a toy train set, you know, by, you know, selectively focusing some parts of the image as opposed to others. You can do this optically. They have tilt shift lenses that will do this, or you can do it digitally. So I chose to do it digitally because I'm not going to spend, you know, thousands of dollars for a tilt shift lens. So you can accomplish it digitally. It's kind of a unique picture.
Cool. From the roof.
Well, that is it. So here's Barbara Jean's email address if you want to contact her. You know, you reach her there, and I might point out that it's camera lady, so there's no E in there. It's not camera lady. I kind of got crossed up with that. So if you want to reach out to Barbara Jean, there you go. There's her email address.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. This is my email address, obviously. Love to hear from you if you have any further questions or anything like that. My website, Instagram. I will usually, after every game, post a few pictures on Instagram with a couple little, maybe brief sentences to what the score was and stuff like that. I'll select maybe my. So that's it. That's it. Show's over.
Great. Well, thank you so much, BJ and Joe. Those slides were awesome. Quite a trip down memory lane. Just a couple quick housekeeping things. As we mentioned, this presentation was recorded. It will be up on YouTube in probably about 3 or 4 days. The channel it's on is called SABR Videos, SABR Videos. So you can search for it that way. I'll also try to send out the link once I see it up. And feel free to share with any of your friends or anyone you think might be interested in it. If you're not currently on our mailing list and would like to be, we try to do programs roughly monthly. Please email me. It's rbrecker, RBRECKER @gmail.com, and we'll get you on our mailing list. Our next program is going to be towards the end of March. Working on finalizing the speakers now, but it's going to be discussing the Negro Leagues and their recent change to be considered major leagues. We're going to have a couple of Negro League researchers speak about how that came to be and some of the ramifications of it. So with that, if BJ and Joe are game, I think you can feel free to take yourselves off mute if you'd like to ask any questions. And while this one, the formal part of the program, we can certainly hang around informally and chat for a bit.
Ryan, do we have messages or anything like that? Questions?
We had lots of chats, lots of nice comments, people loving the photos.
Awesome.
I don't believe there were any specific questions about any of the images.
Okay.
There was a couple of questions that we answered along the way for capacity of Silver Stadium and things along those lines.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, this was terrific, and it's a whole lot of fun to see all these familiar faces and share some great memories and some great times with all of you.
Oh,
And
Joe, can you stop sharing your screen just so you can see everyone a little better?
Sure. Stop share.
Perfect.
There we go. And Joe, just thanks for putting this all together, because he was the mastermind behind I sent him my images and he made the slideshow. So kudos, great job and fun working with you, Joe.
Well, it was fun working with you too, BJ. I feel like we became friends over this.
We sure did. And I'll see you this
Really
summer.
nice.
See you all this summer. Hopefully I can drive home safely and spend a few games with all of you.
It was amazing, you guys. Thank you,
Thank you
very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you all so much.
So much talent right there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
We appreciate it.
We
And we
appreciate
really
it.
had a who's who of attendees for the session tonight too. I see Darren Campbell joined us. Hi, Darren.
Oh,
So from players, saw Dan Mason on the line. Obviously heard from Naomi a minute ago. So the front office, board members, former employees, our organist,
Randy
former
Mobley's
players.
here.
So really a great cross section of Rochester baseball here.
Yeah, thank you guys for everything. Thank you.
It's truly wonderful. I'm so glad I was here.
I'm glad you were too. And Randy, I'm so proud to see my rainbow photo behind your head. Made my day.
You're absolutely right. I think I told you I had that hanging in my home office, and
There it is.
I feel like a bit of an interloper tonight. But first of all, thank you to Ryan for allowing me to be here, and Joe and Barbara Jean, just fabulous. And during the years I've had the honor of being involved with the league, from the front office folks to really the community and you, the baseball fans, have made me feel so very, very welcome every time I came to Rochester. And special place in my heart for Rochester baseball, and for all of you for for now and forever. So thank you for allowing me to be on tonight.
And Randy, I think you have the Marlboro Man, don't you? That
I'm
BJ
sorry?
I believe you have the Marlboro Man.
Well, you know what?
BJ
There was
pointed
a
out a
lot of
couple
talk
times.
about that at the time when I was given the opportunity. Is there something at Silver that you would like to have? And I did say that, knowing that that was going to become extinct. Did not ever actually make the trip and be able to secure that. So it's a good story, but it didn't actually happen.
Gotcha.
That's my souvenir.
There's your souvenir from the Silver Stadium.
Awesome.
And Randy, what happened to the two men on the Governor's Cup?
Well, you know, I took some notes during your presentation, and I did make a note of that.
Sorry, Randy.
If I got a chance to share, I was a slow learner on that, and it didn't happen immediately after then, but soon after then, we started assigning someone to the Governor's Cup after it was presented to make sure it never again made it into the clubhouse.
Yes, it was difficult to find a welder locally that could put the two little dudes back onto the Governor's Cup.
But I can assure you the Red Wings weren't the first to do damage to that. It's been repaired a number of times.
One of my favorite memories from that night was seeing Willis Otanya as our third baseman. Jimmy Warwick was carrying the trophy, and one of the dudes fell off. Willis picked up the little guy and was going, holding it up just like Jim Warwick was holding up the trophy.
Great.
It was pretty cool. And I got to say, I was stunned to see Darren Campbell on this call. Darren, how are you doing, man? It's great to see you, and thanks for tuning in tonight. And so many other people, Vito, the Killer Bat Boy, I saw was on earlier, Jeff Giarizzo and Paul Dondorfer. So many legendary people from our organization and at Silver, of course, Fred and Kath. It was just, I tell you, for somebody that hasn't been to a Wings game in over 500 days, this is exactly what the doctor ordered. And it gets me so fired up to welcome our fans back to Frontier this year. So BJ and Joe, I'll shut up now, but I just want to say thank you so much for providing everybody on this call tonight with some amazing memories and really getting us fired up for the upcoming season. And Darren, was so cool to see you on here, man. I hope you're doing great.
Yeah, you too, buddy. We got to catch up. I got to get your info.
No doubt. Absolutely.
Hey, and coming from the player side of things, man, there's so much goes into a ball game that we don't always appreciate. So thank you guys for some great memories, and BJ over the years, the pictures you've sent. I mean, and the guys who can't be on this call, from other teams and the Red Wings who, you guys make our day by sending just pictures. You could easily charge for that stuff, but you guys are just so great and say, hey, here's a memory I caught of you and my daughter or my parents or something like that. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Darren. Well, this has been wonderful, and I sure appreciate all your help, all your wonderful comments. And Joe, thanks for putting it all together and pulling it together. We'll have to collude on another show along the way here.
Yeah, our collaboration was so much fun, and it would be great to be able to do something with you again, Barbara Jean.
That's cool. I would like that.
Barbara Jean and I kept saying as we were putting this thing together exactly what Dan mentioned, that we want people to reminisce and to get a sense of being back at a Red Wings game again. So to hear you say that, Dan, makes me feel like we accomplished what we set out to do.
Yeah. Mission accomplished, Joe.
Okay. All right. Hey, Maury.
What's happening, guys?
Hey, Maury, how are you?
Gosh, you guys are the greatest.
Oh, thanks.
The greatest.
There's my partner in crime. Hey, Maury.
BJ. So great to see all of you.
Can't wait to see you this summer, you guys.
It'll be fun.
Sure will.
It'll be fun.
Thanks for watching.
In baseball terms, I'd like to say you guys hit a home run.
A grand slam home.
A grand slam
There you
home run.
go.
Thank you
That's-
so much.
There you go.
That's quite a compliment coming from the president of the Rochester Baseball Historical Society. Thanks, Richard.
Ah,
Thank you very much. And Dr. Brecker, thank you for doing this. I know you're on duty tonight, and I'm so proud of you too.
Well, thank you.
Being the inquisitive kid that had so many questions to the great doctor that you are now, and I'm so proud of you.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, as
You're
we all are.
fine.
Yeah, we're.
I know we all
yeah.
are.
I first met Ryan at Silver Stadium when he was still a high school kid, and I would take my son, and Ryan was so gracious. My son was young, and Ryan would point out the players to him and tell him, go and get that guy's autograph and this and that. And I agree with BJ. I've known you since you were young, and I'm very proud of you.
Growing and glowing,
Yeah.
for sure.
all right, Al, thank you so much. We miss you all.
Thank you all.
Thank
and
you.
we'll See you
Very
again.
good. Have a good night.
You
Yeah,
all
great to see
too.
everybody.
Thanks so
Bye-bye.
much for
Night.
coming.
Bye. Thanks
Bye-bye.
again.
Thank you.
so
Thank you,
much.
Ryan.
Bye, guys.